Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the MotUS Edge. I am Stacy Rowe, and we have a very special treat for you today. I am so freaking excited to be here today with Casey Jones, but it is not the Casey and Stacy show today. It's the Heather and Emily show. That's right. We've got Heather and Emily Jones on here today to talk to us about their incredible 29029 jersey. Listen to me. Journey.
We have on a jersey.
Yes. I'm so excited. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the call.
Glad to be here.
To the podcast, I guess. I'm like, so, between meetings and podcasts and Zooms, I get myself confused.
It's a busy time of year.
Yeah. So we are super excited to be here. And Casey's probably going to do the least amount of talking that he's ever done on a podcast. Because this one is about his wife and his daughter. So
absolutely.
So Casey, why don't you start by telling us first, what is 29029?
So it's actually called 29029 Everesting. And the premise is, so Mount Everest is 29,029 feet tall. That's how much elevation gain you have at Mount Everest. That is the tallest mountain in the world. And it's really hard to go there, and you will likely, pretty high chances of dying if you try to climb that. So what this company has done, they put together several different events. You go to, you choose your spot, you go to a mountain range, and you are climbing 29,029 feet. So you climb up and you gondola down until you have hit the mark. So every mountain is a little bit different. Last year we did Whistler. It took 8 climbs and 31 or 32 miles to get the mark. The year before I had done Mont Tremblant, and it took 14 climbs of about 25 miles. So everyone's a little bit different, but you have the thing is you have 36 hours to do it. It starts at 6 a.m. on Friday morning, and you have until 6 p.m. on Saturday afternoon to complete the event or get as far as you can in the event.
So I feel like my first question to all of you is why on earth? Why on earth would you want to do this? Now, for those of you that aren't watching us on YouTube, Heather just pointed at her husband. Very Emily, why did you want to do it?
So it's funny that you asked the why, because they always talk about the why after we signed up. But initially it was my dad doing it the year prior. I was like, there's no way. There's not a shot that I'm doing this. I'm not interested. Why would I do it? And then I saw kind of the transformation that he had, and I don't know, the changes that I saw in the people that had done it, because our friend Roger has done it as well. And it's a really inspiring event, and to watch someone push themselves to the limit is something that I hadn't really done before. So with that, I was like, all right, cool. I'll give it a go. And so I was still it was daunting in the beginning. I had signed up, but I was like, all right, we'll see. We'll still see. We'll see how.
Am I really going to do this? Right. I'll take the trip. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'll go hang out with you guys. We'll see what happens.
Oh my God, that's too funny. Heather, how about you? Why did you want to do this?
Honestly, because, I had originally told Casey that I was like, I'll do it if you pay for Emily to do it, because we can train together, and it would be, that would be great. Something she and I could, get up, go hike, whatever. Because Casey and I do not train well together. Hence, he hired me a coach. And then it just so happened that he and Emily are at a totally different level than I am. And I was like, okay, I just need to finish it. Slow and steady, we'll run the race. I don't have to go. And so we would go hike together, but they would be pretty far ahead. They would wait. So it turned into more or less, I want to train, I want to get healthy. That was kind of Casey's motivation, because nobody wants to fail. They're very competitive. I am not so competitive. However, I did not want to be the only one out of myself, Casey, Emily, and Roger to not finish. But it was hard. And I knew it was going to be hard. So he was like, I'll be proud of you no matter what, just train. As long as you train, I'll be proud. Like that's.
I honestly couldn't imagine. I actually, like, as your friend, kind of watching this journey, I was feeling that for you. Like, dear God, please just let her finish. Please just let her finish. Please just let her finish. Because I can't imagine, like you said, like you didn't want to be the only one that did not finish. And spoiler alert, she did finish because she is badass. And yes, I said ass on the podcast, but it was necessary for this particular moment. So she did finish. We're going to talk all about that. But yes, I can't even imagine, like, that's part of my, obviously I'm sure you guys know Cole's doing it now. And I'm like, oh man, is this something that I'm going to have to try to do? I feel like I have a snowball's chance in heck of finishing this thing, but I can't. I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd rather not, because I don't want to not finish. And there's a good chance I wouldn't finish.
You need to come and volunteer at an event, because whether you finish or not, the event is just so incredible. And for me, I just believe in putting something big, at least one thing big on your calendar every year, and that needs to be some kind of experience. I like it to be fitness related because I love that, but there just needs to be something big on your calendar every year. And then when you go to these type events, because there are literally people there that do one or two climbs, out of the event. So they don't make it. But that's not what it's about. There's so much more to it than that. And I think, you need to come out and volunteer. And I think if you saw it, it would change your mind.
Maybe. And maybe I would, maybe that's what I should do. I don't know. I will think about it. But you know me though, Casey, if I were to sign up to actually do it, like, I would have to finish. And I would be like, screw your 36 hours. Somebody's going to stand out here and wait for me, because I'm not stopping until I'm done.
Well, that's kind of the thing though, but you just said something there that I think is really important. If I sign up for something, I have to finish. So that is to me, that's the battle with most anything in life. You got to sign up for it. If you do it, most everybody's going to do it. And this is an investment. It's an investment in time and money. So if you sign up for it, then you truly feel guilty if you miss a training, or if you're not doing the training, or, not giving your all. So I think that's part of my why. Like, I know if I sign the dotted line and I spend the money, that I'm going to do it. And when I do that, I want to take advantage of everything they have to offer.
Yeah, I love that. So obviously, if you didn't catch on, this is Casey's second. He has done it for twice now. And Emily and Heather, it was your first time. So talk to me about training. How long did you guys train? What did you do to train? Was it different for each of you?
So the training plan is 20 weeks. So our timeline, they sent it out kind of mid-April, which was exciting as we wrap into or start up the busiest time of our cheerleading year. So they send that out. It's done on a 2-week basis, so that you can't really look ahead to see what's coming. And, it kind of gives them the opportunity to change things as needed. But it's a lot of walking. It's a lot of time on your feet. They mix in a little bit of strength and mobility too, which arguably is some of the more important things than walking. Casey can probably speak to the mobility part. I'm not too far out of my cheerleading, so I feel pretty limber still.
Let's be honest, Emily. Let's be honest. You probably barely broke a sweat doing this thing. Seriously.
You'd be surprised. We'll get to it, but I for a second I thought I might die on the mountain. I'm like, this is going to be the end. How do people do this? Why did I sign up for it? But the training part of it, it's hard because we're in Kennesaw, Georgia. We got a mountain, but this is not like a mountain that we're dealing with. We're not talking the same mountain type here. So just trying to wrap my head around, like, this is hard, but I know it's going to be significantly harder, significantly longer. all of those things, even through the training process, I kept talking to Casey. I'm like, the mileage, I've done a half marathon before. I've walked half marathons, those things. I've never done a full marathon, and I've surely never done 32 miles. How am I supposed to train like that? But it really kind of leads you into it. I think we peaked they do based off time instead of mileage. So I think the most that we did was 8 hours.
Yeah, longest. And the training plan for every mountain is different. So when I did Tremblant,
hold on, like an 8-hour hike?
Yeah.
Okay,
that was
I'm out.
That was the last major weekend. But you're building up to that. It's literally the first week you're doing 30-minute hikes. And then you do an hour one on the weekend, and then you're building up, and it's an hour and a half and 2 hours, and then, like I said, near the end, about 2 weeks out, you do your longest day, and that's typically on a weekend. You can slide the days around; it doesn't matter, but that's typically on a weekend. And for the mountain that we did this year, Whistler, it was an 8-hour hike.
Yeah, because the first mountain that Casey did, part of his training plan was, correct me if I'm wrong here, I want to say 15 minutes of box step-ups, a 45-minute hike, 15-minute rest, repeat for 12 hours.
Pretty close to that. It was 45-minute hike, and then, I don't remember exactly on the box steps. And then
I already picture myself tripping on the box steps, and there you have it.
And so when he was doing this, and I had no idea what was going on, I knew the guy was going to climb a mountain a bunch of times. I'm like, there's no way that I can do 45-minute hike, rest for 15 minutes, repeat for 12 hours, my whole day, not a shot. I'm not doing that junk. I brought him a coffee, saw him, he was in the thick of it, but
you did it. But you did do it.
So and Heather's training experience was vastly different than both of ours too. So
he hired me a coach.
So what was that like?
It was great because, like I said, he and I don't train well together.
I think it's a lot better. We did a lot of training together.
We trained together, but it was, what's your workout? And so my coach we started in January, and our first call was, what's your goal? And my goal was not get hurt, because I have a tendency to get hurt, not get hurt.
That would be
me. Break myself and finish. And she was very, supportive. If I'd be like, hey, my hips really hurt, she would adjust. So at first it was very basic, 30-minute hike, whatever. I would if Casey and Emily had a long hike and it kind of, mirrored what I was doing, I would do what they were doing so we could do it together. But yeah, like Emily said too, when they sent out the program, it was right at just before Worlds. And so we're there for 13, 14 days. So I'm hiking at midnight walking at midnight in Orlando, Florida with my weight vest, because we've been at cheerleading all day. But it was a commitment. I knew, I was trying to set myself up for success. And, knowing that it was the mental shift of, I'm going to do this. I got to be prepared. As long as I'm prepared, I know I can do it. So it was just one foot in front of the other.
That was actually when I knew, because, selfishly, I wanted Heather to do this for herself. It was a thing of like, goodness gracious, she's raised our children. She spent all these years like just focusing on them and everyone else. And like, hey, this would be a cool thing for her to really suffer and focus on herself. But,
she had all this pain upon herself.
Yeah, so it was going to take more than the 20-week plan. So it was funny. We hired this coach, and about a weekend, she looked at me and she's like, yeah, this coach is telling me a lot of the same things you did. And I was like, I didn't say anything, but I was like, I know. But it was cool because if she got mad, she could get mad at the coach instead of me. But when she talked about it being at Worlds, that's when I knew, like, it at that point, that's when I got, like, it didn't matter if she finished the mountain or not, because my evil plan in my head worked. She literally, because I'll never forget this. We were at Worlds. She got up one morning and she went out to do her workout. I assumed she was done. We were dressed and out the door by 9:30 or 10 o'clock to go watch teams. And we went and we watched all day. And then we went to dinner and then we got home. We were staying at a little VRBO house and we got back and I got ready for bed and Heather was getting dressed in her workout clothes. It's like, what are you doing? She said, well, I've got one more hour. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I walked 2 hours this morning, but it's supposed to be 3 today. So I've got to go and get the other hour done. And I was like, holy smoke. She's there. Her mindset has changed because that's never been her mindset as far as working out. So
I also knew, like I said, I was going to have to probably go through the night. When Emily and I have done the Disney half marathons and the 10 milers and all of that, I would do squats. If we had to stop to go to the restroom, I would be squatting or moving or something. I could not sit still, or my body would just say, you're done. So I knew there was a very strong likelihood that I was going to go through the night and not stop, just because I didn't want that to be my step back of, my body just saying, yeah, I can't go anymore because I thought we were done. So training at night, which a lot of our training was in the middle of the night. We would get up at 3:30 in the morning and be on the mountain by 4, so we wouldn't be in the heat of the day. So that helped as well, doing that, like waking up and still being tired. And
to me, that was one of the most, and looking back over this, probably some of the most enjoyable times together. Because like I said, literally as a family, or part of our family, the 3 of us are getting up and meeting at Kennesaw Mountain at 4 o'clock in the morning. No one is there. No one's in the parking lot. There's not a car there. You're actually not even supposed to be on the mountain. We're kind of poaching a little bit, but that's okay.
Oh, well, now the cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag now.
But we would actually have some pictures. We would get to in Kennesaw Mountain. It's about 1.5 miles up. Like Emily said, it's not a big deal, but it's the best training we had for where we were at. But, standing on top of Kennesaw Mountain at 4:30 in the morning, hearing the owls hoot and seeing the little deer running around and looking at the Atlanta skyline together, like we would have never done that, and we got to do it multiple times. And that's something like literally a couple weeks after the event, Emily and I were talking. It's like, gosh, man, I hated getting up at 4 o'clock and I sure do miss doing that. Like,
I was just going to say, have you guys gotten up to climb the mountain just for funsies since?
Not at 4, but Emily and I, just yesterday, Emily and I met and did about 6 miles over there in some weight vests. So it hadn't stopped.
That's just awesome.
The 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll wait until closer to next year.
That's awesome. The sheer, like, I don't know, just the dedication and the determination, from all of you guys, because it's not just like sign up, go climb, Everest. It's a commitment, for a long time and several weeks to get ready and do all the things, and for you guys to do it together too. I think that's pretty cool.
So it really is. So you sign up in November, and literally, I think that's when the mindset piece starts, because you sign up and right then that like you've got a pretty big task in front of you. And in essence, that's when Emily said it, that's when you start spending time on your feet, like not really training, but I need to spend a lot of time on my feet. I need to walk. I need to stand up. I need to take the stairs instead of the elevator. So like it is really almost a 1 year experience, because you sign up in November and that's kind of when you start to get in the mindset, and then you typically don't do the event. Some are earlier, some are, but due to scheduling, we usually choose something late summer, late August, early September.
So obviously the training and the lead up and all of that stuff is super important, but let's get to the mountain itself. Like, what was this experience like? I'm trying to imagine myself. I'm terrified of heights. I don't even know if I could, like, do you start at the bottom? Because if I need to take a lift, I don't know. I'm not sure I can even do that.
So we ended up getting out there early-ish. The event, like Casey said, starts at 6 a.m. on Friday. We ended up getting out there on Tuesday. Whistler specifically is kind of a journey to the mountain itself. You have to fly into Vancouver. You have to take a van several hours into Canada, further there. So we got there on Tuesday, do a full day of travel. We spend some time kind of just exploring where we are and the Whistler Mountain Resort, and it's super cool in the summertime. There's lots of people. The scenes are incredible. We walk out of our hotel and we see this mountain that keeps going, and we're like, is that the top? And there's some cloud cover, and I was like, man, that's far. That's steep. And then the next morning,
you're not climbing it just one time. It's
right. And I'm
times.
like, I have to do that 8 times. But the next morning we wake up and go get some breakfast, and the sky is kind of cleared, and it wasn't the top. That was not even close to that. There was more past it. I'm like hurting my neck trying to look at the top. Every time we'd walk by that thing, I'm like, we have to do that. We have to do that multiple times. So, I mean, there was a mindset piece right when we got there of like, that thing is looking at me and I'm looking at it. We're having a stare down right now and we know what's coming. I'm like, whew.
And that didn't psych you out. Did it get you excited or make you nervous or?
So I could kind of compare it to like that pre-competition feeling of like, I'm excited to do this. I'm also very nervous. Like that little belly ache, the butterflies, but nerves mean you care. So
sure.
I always take nerves as a good sign, and try and use it as something to keep me going. But
and this mountain, Casey, I'm assuming was a lot taller, right? Because it was less trips than the one that you did before.
Yeah, it was a lot taller, a lot longer. This was each hike was 4 miles up, whereas the one I did before was like a little over 1.5 miles, but you had to do it 14 times. So
wow,
it was very different for me the second time.
What was your feeling? Did you stare at that mountain? Did you have a stare down with the mountain too? I didn't have the nerves this time. I wasn't nervous for me. I was nervous for Emily and Heather, but it was like a good nervous, because honestly, something that I feel like you learn something from every experience, especially big experiences. And I talked earlier about putting something big on your calendar. But what I learned from this time was vastly different than what I learned the first time. The first time I was with my buddies, and I struggled the first time. I had a pretty big injury during it, and I had to learn to overcome that, and just with a lot of pain, and humble myself because I was in really good shape, but I couldn't use it, and I wanted to be one of the I'm competitive, so I wanted to be pretty quick on the mountain, and I couldn't be. It was just trudging through to finish. But this time was different. I got out of myself, and it wasn't about me. It was about watching, really enjoying and watching Emily and Heather. And I was very curious as to what their experiences would be, because I knew what mine was. So it was literally, I kind of wanted to see it through their eyes. And that was really cool, but it was also, that's where my nerves and anxiety came in. It was different. And Kevin actually talked about that. He called me the day before. He's like, man, I can't imagine what you're going through, like watching your wife and your daughter try to do something so hard like this. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like that's nothing. But then when it started, he was dead on, because it was like, I really this trip, I almost didn't think about me too much. And it was, like I said, watching through them, which was really cool and scary and anxiety. And So what about you, Heather?
I kind of had the motto of, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. Slow and steady is going to win the race. I always would tell Casey when we would be hiking, he'd be like, you need to look up, you need to stand up. And I'm like, no, if I don't look up, I'm not looking at that gigantic hill I'm about to do. I've always hated a mountain. I hate a hill. He loves a hill. Even when he and I would cycle together, we would see a hill and he would get behind me and push me, like pedaling, riding the bike, and he'd be pushing me up the hill. So I had a definite shift in that because the pain, when I was training, the pain that I had was coming downhill. So I knew, okay, I'm going to have the gondola down. So I was very focused on the present, like right then, just not really looking up and head down and go and just do the best I could do. And we kind of predicted, we'd be like, ooh, that might be the mountain. And it would be so crazy high. And then we would see another mountain and no, I think it's that mountain. And it would be crazy high. So I really had no idea. And where we kind of hiked up a little bit just to check things out on day one, it was not quite steep enough that we first started. So I was like, we were wrong. But, I tried to not think too far ahead. Just get through the moment.
I mean, they do a really great kind of kickoff too. So everyone gets there Thursday and they check in, they get a little swag bag and they provide lunch and dinner and you're kicking things off. They have some classes that you go to. They have nutrition. They have gear, strategy. Do they have another one or is it only 3?
That was it, 3.
So they have those 3. So you kind of, Casey had done it before. He kind of knew the gist of things. The people that had done it before, they also had an option of like a little portion of the trail walk and you could walk through with a coach and kind of talk through things that way. So we kind of went off, did our thing, got some pre-knowledge that we kind of already knew. Once you get there, you've done all these coach calls previously, you've done your own research, but when you're there in the moment, you're just kind of tying some loose ends, getting those last minute reminders, those things. So they kind of get you feeling good once you check in and then you go to sleep, wake up real early in the morning, have some breakfast and they send you off. But the weather was also unusual for Whistler. So I had this you experience all 4 seasons from the bottom of the mountain to the top. So from past years and people that we had seen in our training on Kennesaw Mountain that have done it before, it's a rainforest, it's cold, it's kind of decent at the bottom, kind of moderate temperatures. So I had no idea what to pack. I'm packing a raincoat and long sleeves and short sleeves and a tank top and long pants and short pants and leggings and socks and shoes and all of these things.
Are you carrying all of this with you guys?
So we have a gear bag that you can send to the top.
Okay. Even
up until the moment of, I was like, I still don't really know what I'm going to wear. I don't know if I'm going to want to be in long sleeves. It was probably mid 50s when we woke up, right?
Well, when we got we went in a couple of days early. On Tuesday, we're literally in our puffy jackets. And then we took a gondola up to the top and to just kind of try to see where the trail was that we were climbing. We were freezing. It was probably in the 40s with 25, 30 mile an hour winds at the top of the mountain on Wednesday before the event. So it was typical Whistler weather on Wednesday. And then when the event started, it was atypical because the clouds parted and it was absolutely beautiful, but it was 90 degrees. So then it turned into then it changes the game. Okay, I've got to up my electrolytes. I need to take salt tablets, because luckily it kind of fit with our training because obviously coming from Georgia. So.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I had my tank top and my jacket and I had a beanie hat and all this stuff waiting for me at the top in case I needed it. Didn't need it, but I think I said a prayer to God almost every day leading into it that it did not rain. I was like, I can do this hard thing, but it's going to be a lot harder if I'm soaking wet.
Rains. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it didn't rain the entire time, right? Or did it?
It did not. We didn't get a single drop. And that is so, literally we're in a rainforest, and it's Whistler's just above Seattle. It is wet over there. So it was very atypical.
All right. So I want to hear from Emily and Heather what your experience was like climbing, finishing, all of that. And then Casey, I want to go last to you and how you felt like just experiencing that, watching them, do that. So Emily, you go first. Tell us about your climb.
Okay. Well, that first lap, we're all getting real excited. My husband came out with us and he volunteered that morning. So he was up early. We're all waiting at the bottom. They have all this kind of like hype music going. Everyone's like, the energy's really high. We're all there together. There's about 300 people climbing this mountain at the same time. So they kick us off. We're going. The first little bit is steep and it's hard. I'm like, okay, all right. I knew what I was getting myself into. I have to do this 7 more times. But that first lap was so thick. And a lot of the trail was through the woods. You kind of weave in and out of like, you're on ski slopes. So they have those big openings in between the trees where the gondola's going. And then you go basically single track. So one person at a time. And we kind of started towards the back of the pack there. So we got caught in some traffic on that first lap. So I really had a lot of time on my hands. I was like, okay, I'm able to take this really slow. We're all in it together. I was with my dad. We were chatting with these people from all over the place. You know, where are you from? What do you do? Getting to know people. We would come to parts of the trail where we would stop and we were waiting in line, this giant line from the bottom of the mountain to the top. So it probably took us a good 2.5 hours, maybe 3, to get through the first lap, which is fine. And I was like, now I really got to kick it up. I've got to go a little bit faster. I feel like we wasted a lot of time there that, I wasn't going my full potential and speed. I got some time. I got to catch up. So the second lap, things have kind of spread out. People have stopped for whatever reason. They've done 1 lap. They're going to wait at the top for their friend. They're going to go grab a snack, whatever it is. So things have spread out. We zoom through lap 2.
Put the hammer down.
We were moving and grooving. Those legs were pumping. And then we get to the top. I see my husband. He's on peanut butter and jelly duty. How are things? I'm like, I feel great. All is well. Ride the gondola down and we start lap 3. And that's when I had hit my wall. And they say that you kind of go through several stages of the experience. Like the first few laps, you're really excited to be there. The energy's really high.
Right. You got some adrenaline.
Yes. You get to the middle and things kind of like, oh gosh, this is getting hard. And I still got lots to do, lots to go. And then towards the end, you start to get, I'm almost there. This is exciting. So 3 is where I found my challenge there. And I don't know if it was lap 2 where I was going maybe too fast or there was some nutrition or hydration issues, but I had hit a wall and my breathing was really not, I was kind of breathing heavily, like gasping for air, and my heart was racing. I couldn't get my heart rate down. I was like, I feel like outside of myself, I feel like,
are you having like a panic attack on the mountain?
I don't even know what it was, but I was like, I could die on this mountain. Like I cannot, this is not sustainable. I cannot keep going like this. My heart rate is too high. You're 3 laps in. I have to go however many more hours. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. And I had some doubts the whole time of like, can I really do this? And then at that point I was like, can I really do this? Am I going to be able to pull this off?
Might not be able to do this.
I'm like, I might, maybe this is it. Maybe I did the best I could and 3 is all. I never really had the thought of quitting, but I'm like, something could take me out of this. I was at that point. So about halfway up the 3rd lap, Casey advised me to stop and talk to a coach. And I'm really glad that I did. He walked with me probably almost the full rest of lap 3 and kind of coached me through this lap, working on my breathing and just talking me through things and hyping me up. And I can do this and I can finish. And this is what I need to do to get to the other side. And when I get to the top, just have some lunch, have a Coca-Cola and keep it moving. So he walked me through it. We got to the top, had some lunch, and they didn't have Coke at the top, which was like, they had Pepsi. And by God, it was the best drink I've ever had in my entire life. It revived me, brought me back to life. I was a new person. I survived lap 3. And that was that. So I had kind of gotten to that point of like, oh my gosh, can I do this? And been able to push through. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. I had to talk to myself almost the whole time, which I knew that's kind of how things were with training too. Like I said, Kennesaw Mountain is nothing like this Whistler Mountain, but I had to talk to myself the whole time, just in my head of I can do hard things. I'm able to do this. I don't have to do it. I'm able to do it. I get to do it. Just
like
the
little
time.
the little train that could. I think I can.
Yes.
I think I can. I think I can.
Yes. And all through training, like I didn't listen to music or podcasts or anything. They would sometimes listen to audiobooks, but I really used the training time as time with myself because I don't know, in today's age, it's easier to just get on your phone, do a little doom scrolling and not really have to deal with yourself. So I was like, I'm enjoying my time with myself and thinking through things about just my life, about me, about my family, just kind of using the time to reflect. It was really therapeutic for me in the training. And I was like, I'm not changing anything that I'm doing. So on the mountain, I didn't listen to anything. I just me, myself, my head. And then, we would talk in between gasping for breath and eating snacks and the trouble of it all. So, after I was able to get through lap 4, I would not say by any stretch of the imagination that it was a breeze, but, I fell into a rhythm and we ended up doing 6 the first night. We caught up with Roger on, I think, lap 5. We finished that lap together. I had seen my mom once or twice on the mountain. She had found a little group of buddies. I'll let her talk about her experience doing that. But, spending the time with my dad too. My dad helped me get through the 3rd lap of like, this guy's older than me, no offense, but like, I got to keep up with my dad. Like we did this training together. I gotta keep up with this guy.
Right. So, you can't let your dad show you up.
Yes. So we stuck together the whole time, which was awesome. We did not much talking, but the talking that you need in that moment of just like,
sure.
how you doing? How are we doing? How can we get through this together kind of thing. So that was awesome. We ended up being able to sleep, which was something that I didn't really know going into it, what my strategy was as far as, I have these 36 hours. How am I going to spend them? So we ended up doing one hike through the night, not through the night, in the nights where you had to pull out your headlamp, which was a cool experience. I was really nervous about bears.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. We heard some wolves out there in the night. And, it's crazy because the track is so long, you don't really see people once things get spread out. That first lap, like I said, was really thick.
It was congested, but then after that,
it's spread out once people started doing their own thing. So, you're in the woods in the dark. It's me, my dad, and Roger was there for a little bit. And you look up, it's dark. You're in the mountains, you're in the woods. The sky is beautiful. Just like the nature parts of things. It was awesome. And I'm like, I just have to get through this last one. And then I'm going to bed. My body is killing me at this point.
I can't even imagine, like, you're exhausted and you want to go to sleep, I'm sure. But I mean, surely you were even more sore from this, like the stopping in the morning, I would imagine.
So they have they have meals for you at the top. So they start with lunch, and
so they only feed you if you make it to the top. Got it. No.
Yeah. No, they have aid stations as well. And that's another part of our strategy too, was in this one specifically, the aid stations were pretty far apart. I think it was almost a mile or a little over a mile before you got to the first aid station. And some of these mountains, the whole track is a mile. You're going up and it's 1 mile from the bottom to the top. It's just super steep. So, in the beginning, I'm like, I just have to get to the next aid station. I have to get from here to there. And then once I get to the next one, then I can focus on the next one. So whereas my mom was, one step at a time, I'm like one aid station at a time. I've got to just chip away at this in little bits and pieces. And I knew I started to kind of learn the trail and kind of where I am and what's coming and the hard parts and how I could get through them and how far I am from the top. So I had to kind of break it down into smaller pieces to be able to mentally digest it. But I think we ended up getting to bed. I took a shower and was in bed around 2 a.m. And then we got back up around 6 and had 2 laps to go. And, you know, I had been waiting for that time of like, oh, I'm almost there. And all the coaches and the people who have done it before, they talk about those stages of where you are mentally on the mountain. You're excited, then you hit a wall, and then there's that middle nowhere's land, and then you're towards the end and you're getting excited. And I was waiting for it to come of like, oh, there's going to be a surge of energy. Some more adrenaline is coming. I'm almost there. Never came. Lap 7 and 8, I was like, this junk is still hard. It doesn't feel any closer. It's still daunting, and I still have to do this. And I know that the trail is so long and it's so steep, and it was wild. So 7 and 8 were a grind still. We get to the top. I think we got there around lunchtime, a little after lunchtime.
We finished at 1:30.
Oh, 1:30.
Yeah. Who's keeping up with that?
So,
Heather.
well, that's the thing of like the timing parts of it. I was so worried that I wasn't going to be able to finish it all. And then as I kind of chipped away at things, I was like, oh, this is getting more attainable. This is also so sucky. It hurts everywhere. And it's the physical parts of things. You're really feeling it the whole time. But the mental part too is just something that you can't, the training doesn't really prepare you for it fully, just because the amount of time and the amount of energy and the emotional ups and downs of it all are just
Yeah, I mean, I think not everybody experiences physical pain like that in life, but I feel like we've all been through, as you adult more, you live through things that are extremely emotionally exhausting, challenging, whatever. And you have to have a mental toughness to survive that. I mean, I think obviously every human has now experienced COVID, and that was a terrifying time at first. And it required a lot of mental fortitude to push through that. So I would imagine, it's your body is telling you, no, I can't go another step. And your mind is saying, we're almost done. Keep going.
And one thing they say is to trust the training, because you did say, the training doesn't fully prepare you. It doesn't, because you haven't been there. But the reality is it does, because there are some crazy things in the training that they may not seem crazy to some, but like 1 hour of box step ups. So like literally for 1 hour, you're stepping up on a box. And to me, honestly, it's not that physically hard for me. I can do that. But, it's one of those things when you feel like if you're looking at your watch and you get started doing that and you're like, gosh, I've been going forever. And you look down and you've been going for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
And then like, okay, I got to be close. And then you look down and you're at 12 minutes and I got another 45 minutes to go. So that training, like that part, it teaches you to grind, because that's all it is one foot in front of the other getting up this mountain, and you're just grinding, So a lot of the training, it does address that. It can't address 36 hours of it, but goodness gracious, an hour of boring box step-ups can feel like 36 hours. So.
For sure. So you did finish at 1:30, yeah? And you and your dad finished together? That is very cool.
And by the end of it, I thought my knees and ankles were going to snap off, and then Casey starts running. And I'm like, oh God, we're running. We're running at the end. And I was like, I was prepared to kind of step into it. And
you just had to push yourself that one extra little bit, didn't you, Casey?
It was, I'm telling you, my first event was so rough, and I had to literally drag my left leg up the mountain.
I remember.
For 6 laps. And I felt so good on this one. I was like, I literally felt like I could have ran the entire last lap. So,
wow, that's awesome.
And I was just grateful. I was like grateful to be there with Emily, and grateful that I wasn't hurting. So,
that's awesome. So Heather, tell us about your amazing experience.
I don't know if it was amazing. So I really focused a lot on everything. I kind of made it my job. Like Casey's like, one of us is going to get sick. Well, I don't want to be the one to get sick. So I was very focused on my nutrition. I'm gluten-free, so I listened on the coach's calls. I asked questions about, okay, what do I need to do? How many calories? How many, what electrolytes? So my coach really guided me on, she started me on electrolytes probably in February. And then I had told Casey, I was like, well, yeah, I've been drinking a pack a day, just spread out through the day for a really long time. So I figured out what I liked. I had all of that in my backpack. Originally, they said, you can't have food at the top of the mountain overnight because
Of bears.
Of bears.
Wildlife.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to carry as much as I can and make sure that I'm eating. Well, I wasn't hungry. So I figured out pretty quick what I liked on the mountain. I stuck with that so I wouldn't get sick. The night before, or the day before, I saw my coach. We were, doing all the little sessions and whatnot. And she was like, well, hey, let's do the first hike together. And I was like, okay, sure. She said, I'll meet you at 6:30. Originally, she said 6:45. And I was like, doesn't it start at 6? She's like, oh, yeah, you'll be fine. So I'm telling Casey and Emily, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do the first hike with Coach Ashley.
You're like, I don't want to waste a minute, lady. Come on, let's go. 6 o'clock.
I was excited that she wanted to do it with me, but then I kind of got in my head too. And I was like, I never like training with other people, especially if I don't know them, because I am slower. So as I was standing there at 6:05, everybody was gone. And so I texted my coach and I was like, okay, I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to go. And she said, okay, I'll catch up. So I caught up to everybody pretty quick because, like Emily said, at one area it got bogged down. So we were kind of standing there, and I did meet, some really cool people, and we would talk. And I was the oldest of them all, but hearing their stories and then, talking to them about their preparations and whatnot, it kind of got us through that first lap. First lap wasn't terrible. I think it was my second best, but that was the best, not dying. And I get to the top. I
want to point out again. So your first lap was your second best time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I want to say maybe like 3 hours and 3.5 hours, I don't remember, to be honest. But it didn't seem terrible because we, like Emily said, we stopped a lot, because it would so many people. So I would take my time at the aid stations. I would get my banana and I would get my chips and I would drink. I was literally like textbook. This is what I have to do. I have to have this amount of calories. I'd repack what I needed because they had honey. The honey packets were my lifesaver. And then I would keep going. Second lap, I was like, wow, I could have been one and done. Like, it was great. Why can't we just come to the mountain and volunteer, hike it one time to see the beautiful scenery and then not kill ourselves? But I knew through my training, like, this is what bothered me. That is what bothered me. So I went to massages weekly. I went to physical therapy. I did the cupping and the needling, and I saw the chiropractor multiple times a week. Casey's like, good God. Like, I was like, you're the one making me do this. You want me to keep my body healthy, which I'm glad I did do that, because I would talk to other people and they were like, hey, you need to get calf sleeves. It's not this, it's this. So I was prepared with everything I potentially could need. And I started with taping my knee. I started with my calf sleeves to prevent the pain to come on. And then after the first lap, kind of felt my ankle. I was like, okay, I'm going to put on my ankle sleeve. So I did that on the gondola ride down. Hike up the second time. I don't remember a whole lot about it other than a really cool moment at the snow study station where this girl I met, she was like, hey, yeah, there was this lady that she was telling me she didn't finish her first event because there's these really cool birds that'll eat out of your hand in this one part. I was like, oh, whatever, that's bull. But I had my waffle in my pocket. So I'd take my waffle out, take a bite, put it back in. And so I pulled it out, I crumbled up, put it in my hand, held my hand out, and all these bluebird landed on my hand, ate out of it. I was like, oh, wow, this is like Snow White. Very cool. And then I kept going. But I mean, it was like super fast because I was like, we can't stop a whole lot. But I was very much there was this girl I was with. I was like, hey, are you eating? Because I could see she was struggling. No, I forgot. So I would think about eating. I would remind her to eat and vice versa. And so kind of move on because I can go on and on about every lap. I had a really, really long lap. I did not get to sit and have a beautiful mountain view lunch or dinner because I knew I was pushed for time. I would grab my food to go.
Am I sensing a little frustration? Did Casey and Emily get to have a beautiful view, lunch and dinner?
Not once, but twice.
And, Casey would sometimes maybe rub it in a little bit. We'll take a summit picture of us with the full plate and our Coke or our Pepsi up there with this gorgeous mountain view and send it in our little group while Heather's out there slaving away on the side of this mountain.
I didn't have my AirPods in. I didn't have my phone out a whole lot. So I wouldn't see any messages or anything until I would get on the gondola. I had some friends that I gave a heads up. And I was like, hey, I'm going to need you to send me messages and voice texts and all to keep me motivated, keep my head in, keep me focused. And so I would get on the gondola and that's what I would read or listen to was them. And literally like every hour they would send something and I would get it. And, some of it might be probably can't say on the podcast, but it was funny and, whatnot. And it got me through it. So
let me interject here a little bit. So I think on maybe our third or fourth lap, Emily, when we passed your mom, right? 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
So we passed Heather. I think it was her second lap. She's in with a group of ladies. There's 4 of them. And I'm just kind of doing an assessment. And Heather looks happy. She's got a smile on her face. She looks good. Another lady's laying in the bushes. Another lady's sick. And then another lady is like, she's kind of leading the pack. But, my grandma with her walker could have outrun her. So I didn't say a word. And Emily and I get past and we're talking. I'm like, Emily, did you see what I saw there? I was like, Heather, and Heather said she's a little bit older than the lady she was in. And it's like, and Heather instantly took on the role of mom on the mountain.
I was just going to say she was the mama bear.
Yep. And I'm caring for these 3 people. And I'm like, man, that's going to cost her. But I had made a point of I'm not her coach. I'm not going to coach her. I'm not going to do any of that. So I encouraged, we kept going. I got to the top of the mountain and I saw her coach and I told on her. I was like, you need to get in her butt when she gets up here. I was like, because she is helping all of these people, which is awesome. But y'all have event staff for that. Y'all have medical teams for that. And I think Heather turned almost a 5-hour lap. So that lap probably cost her an hour and a half because she was being Heather and helping people. So,
why am I not surprised?
Yeah.
At all.
So, yeah, that was slow. I
definitely sent Heather a few messages that she couldn't say on the podcast for sure.
Yep. I got this from Kevin. Hey, we're praying for you. You got this. And I got the other ones that were like putting the hammer down. So, which, you need a little bit of both,
For sure.
So, but yeah, so after.
I don't think I'm pretty sure that was the only time we saw you that day.
Yes. Yeah. And I just one foot in front of the other. I think I stopped on the first hike up to use the restroom and it, didn't have to go, but I was like, I don't know when I'm going to get to go. And that was one of my big things too. I was like, oh my gosh, what if I have to go to the bathroom on the side of the mountain? I can't go pee in the bushes. I literally had a coach's call on that. I was like, what am I going to do if I have to pee? She was like, you're going to be fine, but you have to drink. You're going to end up dehydrated, whatever. So,
and granted, there's 4 aid stations up this mountain. So it's long hike, but they're porta potties pretty much every mile.
But I didn't know that. I was thinking there would be aid stations, but I would just, bottom and the top. And then there would be a line, and I knew I didn't have time to waste.
I had learned from the first event that, they feed you dinner at the top of the mountain. And I think dinner at around 6. Emily-ish.
I didn't get to eat dinner.
Yeah, Heather had to pass all that stuff. But
I missed the time slot.
I learned on the first round, and me and my buddies were like, gosh, I wish there was a late night Waffle House, like if you could hit the Waffle House at midnight, that would be the thing that get you through. So I actually had an idea because Emily's husband, Aiden, was there. And I was like, let's get him to order room service and bring it out to us at the bottom of the mountain, at whatever, 11 o'clock. So he did. And he brought us food, and Emily and I had it. And then I had him do that for Heather too. And that was later than us, but then I think that's a pretty cool conversation that you had with Aiden.
Yeah, so I was in the dark. So
alone.
Yes, I did have my AirPod in because I started the climb and there was nobody around me, and my phone rang, and so I didn't have to put because I could just say answer, and it was Casey, and he's like, "How's it going?" I was like, "What do you mean, how's it going? How do you think it's going?" And
read the room.
Who are you with? And I was like, well, who do you think I'm with? I'm with me and myself.
Right. You're like, you told on me that you made the coach take my lady friends away. So
I didn't find out about that until later. And Ashley was very nice about it. But so he's like, whenever you get close, call Aiden, he'll order you some food, he'll, whatever. So I was like, well, I don't know how far because my watch, I couldn't figure out how to keep that, timing or whatever. And so I called Aiden or text Casey, I don't remember, but I was like, hey, this is where I'm at, so forth. I'm getting on the gondola. So Aiden met me. Emily and Casey had started back up. I met him at the base, and I had already changed clothes. I briefly saw my coach earlier in the evening. And I was like, okay, what do I have to do to make this happen? She was like, go change clothes, repack your bag, get down, and just get going as quick as you can. So that we started strategizing at about 6 o'clock-ish, somewhere around there, of what do I have to do to make sure I'm setting myself up for success? So I was hot, so I had tied my shirt around my waist, my long sleeve, and I didn't need it. I get to the bottom. At that point, it's like midnight, and I'm sitting there with Aiden, and then I start shivering because it's cold. I'm so tired, and I'm like, I just need to sleep. And he's like, no, Hev, you got this. Like, you need to get one more. And I'm like, but I can't. And he's like, no, but you can. So then he takes his shirt, his long sleeve off. He gives it to me. I put it on, and he's like, you've got this. If you don't go up the mountain one more time, you won't finish. Like, you've got to do it. You can do it. And I was like, but I don't think I can. He was like, no, you absolutely can. You just got to do it. So I think I had like 2 bites of the chicken, a couple of pieces of the sweet potato fries. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the bathroom inside, and then I'm going to go. So I did. I walked in, used the restroom, came back out, started up. Apparently he called Emily and was like, yeah, your mom's done. She's going to go to sleep on the toilet. So anyway, I go up, I'm by myself. This guy, I think he was in the military. His name was Damon Jones. Really cool guy. He was doing it for men's mental health. So he had a 60-pound pack on his back.
He didn't wow. That was 60 pounds. It was for to support I don't know the exact name, but soldiers with mental health and
PTSD.
I think it's called the Jones Project or something.
Yes, it was. But he came up behind me, which it's dark. I'm like, I had taken my AirPod out.
You're like, is this a bear?
Right. I had taken my AirPod out because I was like, you know what? If a bear is going to come, I at least want some heads up or whatever. So he comes up, and every time he lapped me several times. I think all of them did. And so he was like, you're doing great. Keep going. So I'm like, thanks. We go around. Well, then there's this one area you cut through, and it's pretty open. And it almost looks like a road like a little area there where you can drive your car through before you make another turn. And I come around that corner, and it's pitch black. And I'm like, wait, where did he go? And then I hear this turn your headlamp off. And I was like, okay. So I turned it off. He was like, now just look up at the sky. Take a second and look up at the sky. And literally you could see every star. I mean, it was the most beautiful thing ever, but it was like 3 seconds of stop and appreciate this. And then he was like, okay, good. Turns his headlamp on. He's like, keep moving. So then, he goes on, I go, I'm stumbling. I'm like closing my eyes. Like maybe I can pretend like I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're like, I'm just going to lay right here on the mountain and take a nap. That would be me. Like, I'm just going to lay down. Somebody will find me later.
Right. So I get up to the top and the lady up there, she was like, do you want a sandwich? I was like, well, I can't have this. I'm gluten-free. She was like, oh, we've got gluten-free bread. I'm going to go make you a sandwich. So she made me a gluten-free peanut butter and jelly. It was like a steak dinner. It was amazing. So I grabbed that. I ate that on the gondola down. At that point, it was like 4:30-ish, somewhere around there, 4:45. So I get down and you brand, you get the X on your bib, you brand the board. And the lady's like, okay, you got one more? I was like, no, I need to talk to my coach and she's asleep, but I need to talk to somebody now. And she was like, okay. And all the coaches were passing throughout the day, hey, how you doing? Keep going. Sure. You got this. So I went over and I was like, I'm delirious. And they took it as, okay, she's dehydrated. So they started assessing me medically. I was like, no. I'm tired. Like I haven't stopped yet. So they were like, okay.
You're 22 hours in at this point.
22 hours in with no rest.
No rest. I did, other than the 12-minute gondola ride-ish down.
Right.
And
right, but no sleep. 22 hours in, no sleep.
No sleep and not really sitting other than on the gondola. And so she's like, okay, you're going to go in, you're going to sleep until 6:30. You have to be back on the mountain by 6:45. And I was like, okay. But then she was like, so that'll give you this amount of time per lap to finish. And I think that was like lap 5, I think, right? 5? I think it was 5.
I was asleep down
there. So
Casey.
I
rubbing it in.
I go in, I can't find my room key. So I'm like standing there digging through my bag. And then the coach comes in and I find it. I go up, I sneak in the room. I grab my clothes because I had some clothes that were set out. I grabbed my toothbrush. Luckily, we had like a suite. So I went in the other half and I showered and brushed my teeth, changed. Well, actually, I didn't even change. I put on the robe. I laid down on the couch at, I think, 5:15. And then Emily comes out and she's like, what are you doing? Like, well, so, and then my wheels start turning. I'm like, I've got to repack my bag. I have to fill up my water bottles. I have to get my electrolytes. So I just got up. I did all that. I got dressed. The shower was great. Brushing my teeth was great. Just washing my hands felt like was refreshing. And
Let me set the scene, actually. Let me set the scene here of my perspective of my little situation. So it's a split room. We have the beds in one room and then have like a little couch and another bathroom and like a little table in this other room. You don't sleep well the whole time. You kind of expect to not sleep well the whole time. I'm scared that I'm going to oversleep, wake up at noon and have to run up the mountain or something. So I'm a light sleeper. I hear her rummaging around out there. I get up at 5:15, I think, to use the restroom also. And I open the door and all the lights are on and she's in her robe, laying on the couch with her eyes open, just looking at nothing, like staring into space. I'm like, well, yeah, what are you doing? Like, so we turn the lights off. And then I think you said you had 15 minutes left. So I was like, all right, well, let's turn the lights off and let's get 15 minutes shut eye and then get back to it. So
you took a 15-minute nap.
I was like, she is really down bad. Like she looked like a shell of a human in her robe on the couch, like so innocent. And like, you could just tell that she was going through it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go.
Well, I was back on the mountain in motion by 6:45 and trucking. I was like, I got to do this. I have to have this amount of time. So I go up again, grab food, eat on the way down. So on the second to the last lap, I come around this one corner. It's like after the 4th aid station. I'm not sure the distance, but this one Coach Jen, she came up and she was like, okay, how we doing? And I was like, I don't know, like timing. I don't know. And she, so she was kind of like, okay, we're going to do this. And she's like, one more turn. And it was like every turn, there really wasn't one more turn. It was another turn. And I'm like, woman, and she starts laughing, which he does that to me. Oh, it's only one more hill, but it'd be 6 more hills.
Right.
And so she calls up to the summit and she's like, Ashley, we're coming around the corner. Have Heather, pickle juice, ice Coke, and a banana and a popsicle. So I come up, Ashley, my coach is like coming down. She's got everything in hand. She's filling up my bladders. I'm changing. It's like a pit crew. And so she's like, okay, you have to do that. You have to be in motion by 3. The coaches will start pacing. So if they catch you, you're pulled off the mountain. And I'm like, oh, great. This is like Disney World and the balloon ladies. So
they sweep the mountain. Like if
yes.
you're not going to finish, they cut you off and take you down.
Yeah. So I
Gotcha.
was like, okay, tell me what I have to do. And so she kind of strategized a little bit. She's like, just stay ahead of the coaches. I was like, okay.
And this is your last lap.
This is on like getting to the top before my last lap. So I call my one friend and I'm like, I need you to talk to me. I like, this is what I got to do. And it has to be my best time ever. So she's like, okay, you got this. You're going to do it. Very few, like lots of choice words, very motivating. She's the one that gets your rear in gear. So then I called Casey. I was like, okay, this is what I have to do. I'm getting the red bib. He's like, okay, I'm down here. We'll get your water. I'm like, I've got all that. And he's like, okay, I'll brand the board. We'll help you get the bib on. We'll get you going. So by 2:45, I was up. So I was like, okay, 15 minutes cushion. Like, I'm good. So
she was going to have to turn her to finish. It was going to have to be her fastest lap.
So I'm going at the first aid station. There was a coach, and then that's when she joined us. And so it was myself and 3 other women. And so we're going, and I think the coach had started to feel bad. I found out later because I was like, oh, she's really angry and does not want to be here right now. But she was very much like, okay, you're going to get to this stake and you're going to take 6 deep breaths. You're going to get to this stake and you're going to breathe. And you're going to get to this stake and you're going to breathe. And I was like, holy cow, like, why didn't I know this lap 1? Like, it helps so much.
Right.
So then we're going, and then she walks over the stream and she wets her hat. And I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, I'm so hot. So I'm over there dipping my bandana and my, like cooling off, and we keep going. So then she looks at me and she's like, you're going to have to go because they're struggling. You can do this. So I'm like, all right. So I go. 3rd aid station. Here comes Coach Brent, the Atlanta-based coach. And I'm like, are you taking me off the mountain? And he said, he kind of tilted his head and he was like, you got 15 minutes. No, this was at 2. He's like, you got 15 minutes to get to aid station 3. I was like, okay. So I started going as fast as I could. I get to 3, and it was like a pit crew. They were like, what do you need? I was like, I need Coke. I need a pack of honey. I need you to squeeze the water on my head. So I'm like literally sliding in. They're doing all this, and I'm sliding out. I'm like, Brent is not catching me. I get to 4. I do the same thing. And then that's the area where Coach Jen was before, where she was like, just one more turn, just one more turn. I had no concept of what it was, like none. So I'm doing the little weaving, and then here comes Coach Jen. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, am I going to do it? And she's like, no, back up. That was before. This was Wooch. Okay. To know Wooch, think of a younger version of him. So that's in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, this is Casey. Because he comes down, and I'm like, okay, how long do I have? What's my cushion? He was like, 22 minutes. You have 22 minutes of cushion to finish this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So he gets behind me and he's like, what the F are you going to do about this? all this for effing nothing. He didn't say effing, he said the bad word.
Right, of
but
course.
like he's behind me yelling at me, and I'm like, so I speed up. I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy. So and then he just keeps on trucking down the mountain to go after his next person. So I come around, then there's Jen, and Jen's like, okay, I need 10 extras, like 10 fast steps. So she's like coaching me through what I got to do to speed up some. And I literally, like, the light switch just flipped, and I'm like giving it my all. I gave her the fastest 10 steps I could. And she's
right at this point, because you're like right there. I mean, literally the finish line is right there, but you are running out of time.
And I don't see the finish line. Like, I know it's there, but I don't see it yet because I can't get the concept of how many turns. Well, then I come to this one area, and then Casey's there. And then I'm like, okay. So then he's cheering, and he's like, you got this, come on. And so he's like motivating me as I'm going, and I'm like, my legs hurt, like I'm tired, like this. So then I start my complaining. He's like, no, you've got this, you've got this. And Jen is there, and she's like, come on, 10 more steps, you've got it, let's go. And then there's Emily, like around the corner, and she's cheering and she's yelling. And like, so just that in itself was like, holy shit, I'm really about to, like, I can do this. And then I hear Aiden at the top, and I'm like, okay, like I could hear his voice. I don't know what it was about it. I could hear his voice from the summit, like to where I was, and he's yelling. And then I get up there, and I'm like, there's the red carpet. I did it. I don't know how long I had left. I can't remember. But
about 6.5 minutes to spare.
But I got to the top, and like my family was there. My coach was there. I was like, holy cow. Like I actually did. My mouth was so dry because one of the girls' husbands I was hiking with offered to carry my pack to make it faster. So I had no water for like, I don't even know how many miles. But so Roger was like my water boy, going and getting me water. But it was really cool. And it was kind of nice because I haven't even told Casey this, but I guess at your book launch, we were there, and Christy was like, you know, every woman needs a husband that looks at their wife, I might cry, like your husband did. And I was like, what? She was like, hearing him tell the story about you is like, you could just see in his face, like how proud he is and whatever. But like, then looking back, I'm like, I did see it. Like in the moment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the red bib. I'm going to get the red hat. This is so great. But Christy was like, Cole's wife, Christy saw it. She was like, every woman needs a husband that looks at their wife like that. And I was like, that's very sweet.
I agree.
So, but I did it.
I agree. And I'm wiping away my tears.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. That last little bit, me and Emily and Roger and Aiden were sitting up top. And first of all, I went through all these different emotions, like with Emily and Heather, but I mean, I hate to say it, but I went to bed on Friday night, and I thought Heather had no chance. I was still very proud of what she was doing, but I was like, there's no way she can finish. And then I woke up the next morning, and we realized where she was. And I was like, maybe a little chance to finish. And then I saw that there was a chance. And then the fear hit me of like, goodness gracious, what if she misses it by a minute? But man, she shot
that would be devastating.
She shot the buzzer.
Absolutely devastating.
I think I was the third to the last person to.
I think you were second to last.
Second to the last.
There was one other lady that came in literally with.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because last wasn't actually even last because how many people didn't even finish. So you might have been the second to the last person to complete it, but how many people didn't even complete it? And then how many people like me are sitting at home like, I ain't doing that.
About 100.
You know, here's a funny little story though. This is kind of part of my other issue. So when I was in high school, I went to a really small school, and we had a cross country team, but I don't know, a bunch of the cross country team members had the flu or something. I have no idea. And you need 5 runners, I think, to like actually have a cross country race. And they were 2 runners short. So the coach came into the cheerleading practice and was like, hey, do we have 2 volunteers to run with the cross country team, you know, after practice or whatever? And so I'm like, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. Well, I got lost on the trail and ended up like miles in the wrong direction. They had to come and find me. It was dark. It was like hours after the race. So that would be me. I would take a wrong turn on the mountain and end up in the bear cave.
I thought that might happen to me a couple of times because my sense of direction is terrible.
Yeah. But I'm assuming they have it marked.
Yeah.
It's very well marked. So this organization, they're great. I mean, it's an Atlanta-based company, 29029, Everesting. Check them out. What they do is top-notch. It's a great experience, but man, I also take a lot from what they do business-wise because they do, that was something I told Emily. It's like they do such a good job at the details. Like, pay attention to those things because, they're in the event business. Heck, we're in the event business. Every day at the gym is an event. So they do a good job. I took a lot of great things from it. So
that's awesome. So I'm sure you guys have listened to a podcast or two. So Casey always tells a dad joke. This will be the first time he's telling a dad joke on the podcast with his family on the podcast. So you guys get to make fun of him and his dad jokes.
Yeah, in honor of Thanksgiving, we got a little Thanksgiving dad joke here. So, why did the pie go to the dentist? Why did the pie go to the dentist?
Is this something about filling?
What'd you say?
Is this something about filling?
Ah, you got it. It needed a filling.
Well, you're my dad, so your dad jokes are just regular jokes.
Yeah.
Every joke you say is a dad joke to me. So
Correct.
Well, hit us with the full liner.
That's it. It needed a filling.
Okay, there you go.
You got it. So, boom. Nobody ever gets the dad jokes. I think you're the first one, Emily. Good job.
Hey,
no,
you're my dad. I know.
But hey, we do.
So how bad are his dad jokes, Emily?
He's got some wild jokes. I'll leave it at that.
They're a lot cleaner on the podcast than they are in person.
Hence why I screen them.
Right.
It's pretty funny. So
hey, we love dad jokes. Make sure send us your dad jokes. We'll share them. Stacy at joinmotus.com. Send them to us. We use them. So.
We do. And so you guys have been through this incredible experience, painful experience, and all three of you or two of you have signed up to do this again. One of you, what's the scoop? What's the scoop on the next go round?
So all three, it was funny right after the event. And I knew I kind of had the feeling this would be the case. So literally we're at dinner the night after. Heather hadn't been to bed yet. And I'm like, hey, would you do it again? Maybe I didn't ask her. Maybe Roger or somebody asked her, would you do it again? She's like, no, it's a great experience. Not. I feel like I accomplished something. I can do hard stuff. I'll come and support you guys and I'll volunteer. So I was like, you might change your mind in a couple of weeks. But we get home and we're home and our other daughter, Lily, she's a freshman in college. And she was at the gym literally the day after we got home. And I went in there, I was like, Lily, said, I'm not sure if you know what your mom did, but like what she did was really, really hard. She accomplished something amazing. Like, I know you're really not into this stuff. This isn't your thing. Because I don't even think she paid attention to what we're doing. So, so I told her that. And then like 5 minutes later, Heather sends me a screenshot of like, hey, Mom, I might like to do one of those hikes with you. And that's a whole nother podcast. But those two Heather and Lily went through some crazy times and went through some stuff. And Lily had some struggles and Heather had to help her. So, they're
thick as thieves, in other words.
Yeah. So, they have already suffered together, and that's something I think that's, especially when you can choose to suffer. It sometimes stinks when the suffering comes to you, but when you suffer with someone,
when you sign up for the suffering, it's a different experience.
Right. But there's a closeness, that we all go through family struggles and things like that.
Sure.
When you suffer together, that that builds a closeness and a bond that I don't know that you get from other experiences.
I mean, honestly, just the description of Heather talking about, I turned the corner and I saw Casey and like the frog in my throat. And then I saw Emily and then I saw Roger and I heard Aiden's voice and I'm like, oh my God, the tears are coming down my, but like I could picture it all, so I totally get that. I agree with that wholeheartedly for sure.
Yeah. So I was like, well, you have to do it now. But even had that.
So is Lily doing it?
Yeah.
Lily is doing it. So it's all three of you plus Lily. Is Roger going again?
Roger's going again.
You've roped Cole and Christy in now.
Cole and Christy. James Kersey from All Out.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know he was doing it.
And Bill Seeley from Varsity.
Wow.
So we're going to have a great group of people. I mean, I sell this event all the time. Like I don't work for them. I don't get a deal. I don't get a referral fee. I don't get anything like that. But it's a life-changing experience. It really, truly is. Like I think you come away from this event a changed person for the better. Like I really believe that. So I'm constantly selling it to my friends and family.
It's crazy. That's awesome. And where is it this time?
We are doing Steamboat.
Which is
Colorado.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's further.
Okay.
The distance is 35 miles.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Which means it won't be quite as steep. So
you get more breaks.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we always do a Simon Sinek quote on the podcast, but this time I decided to do one from Jesse. Casey, how do I say his last name?
It's Itzler.
So he is the person who started the 29029 Everesting, right?
One of the founders. There's a couple founders, but.
So I felt like, in honor of your climb, I had to choose a quote from him today and stray from our Simon Sinek quotes. And the quote today is, the best gift you can give yourself is getting over the fear of embarrassment, because then you're completely free to try anything. So what do we think? Do we agree with that? Do we disagree with that? What do we feel?
I agree with that.
I was going to say that a big thing was we didn't even really want to do it. I'll speak for my mother and I there. What if we don't finish? And I remember part of our experience there, we were on the gondola, Casey and I think we were headed down lap 7, about to do lap 8. Or something. Maybe we had finished and we were on the way down and we were checking in on Heather and she was hurting. We're all hurting. And he says, don't push yourself too hard. There will always be another mountain. And she says, no, there won't. Not for me.
She was like, heck no. Yeah, this is the only mountain I'm climbing.
I'm not doing that junk again. And then she got into it of, what if I'm the only one that doesn't finish? You guys are all going to do it. And then it'll just be me. And I think a big part of the experience is obviously finishing is the end goal. And we want to do those things. But, the whole training process and committing to something that seems so impossible and just getting out there and trying was, a win. And even if she didn't finish, we had the conversation on the gondola. Even if she did not finish, if she made it halfway through, then, she had accomplished something wild in comparison to what she thought that she could do herself. So, we had to put the embarrassment aside and the what ifs and things like that. And
do you feel like, Kate, well, I mean, I don't know, Casey, you've already done it twice, but for Heather and Emily, I mean, do you guys feel like there's less pressure going the second time? Like you've already completed one, right? So maybe it's not quite as like, I have to finish the second time around because you've already proved to yourself that you can, so maybe now it's more just about the experience, and not that you don't want to finish. Again, don't misunderstand me, but it's maybe less about that and just more about the experience, or no?
I think going into it, knowing what it was like, I have, that different perspective, I think gives me I know that I can finish. I've done that. And now I know what it takes to finish. So now it's like, I have these tools. I know what it takes. I have the mental toughness aspect of it. I know the grit that is needed for this.
Right.
So surely this one will be even easier, right. Easier mentally, I guess. I know what's coming. I know that it's going to be among the hardest things I have ever done. So
yes, but if it rains or snows or sleets like it does sometimes different on these mountains, then it's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've already started, training on my endurance getting faster. I was doing a 23, 24-minute mile on the mountain, and now I'm doing like 18. So my goal hopefully is to continue that, build that endurance so that maybe I can have one of those beautiful views with my dinner and actually get to eat and get to sleep. And,
I love that.
But ultimately, again, is to not get hurt. So,
and you know what I love about this so much really is just that, such a lesson, like in sports, it's so hard to teach the kids and the coaches oftentimes and the parents to not compare, each other's journeys, or I want to be better than this kid, or I want to outshine this person, or I want to beat that team, or I want to do this. And it's really a much better experience in life and in sports and in everything when you can focus on your own journey and your own self getting to be better one day at a time.
No, you're exactly right, Stacey. That's one of the things about this event. It is about your own journey, because the reality is there's an event. There are about 300 people on average doing these events. That's typically their cutoff. And there's going to be somebody that's first, and there's going to be somebody that's last, and there's going to be about 100 people that don't make it at all. And they celebrate every single person and every single person's journey.
Yeah.
And you don't know who finished first because they truly don't promote it as a race. So like you can't go anywhere on their site. There's no post. There's nothing about, hey, there's our first place winner and they finished in this time, because it's truly about everybody's climb. And
I just love that Heather's response was, not that I want to keep up with Emily or Casey, or not that I want to, finish more than second to last or whatever. She's like, I just want to have a break where I can sit and take in the view and eat dinner. Like that's my goal, is to be a little bit faster this time. And I just think it's remarkable. That's a remarkable attitude to have. And I think that's such a hard lesson. I mean, obviously, this podcast was a little bit different talking about your story, but just to kind of tie it back into all the stuff that we normally do, like that's such a hard lesson for parents to learn, I think, for kids to learn, for parents to teach their kids. It's not always about you being as good or better than the person standing next to you. It's never about that, actually. It's about you being better than you were tomorrow, just by a little bit.
It's those journeys. To me, it's something, I learned this a long time ago on a bicycle. I used to be really into cycling. I mean, I would ride every morning 3 hours before work, usually about 40 to 60 miles a day. And when I would get to work and something challenging would hit me, I would be like, oh, this is easy. I rode my bike 60 miles this morning. I can have this parent meeting. I can deal with this financial issue. I can do this because I've already done something hard today. And I think that's what these events and these experiences teach us. Like, man, I can overcome 36 hours of suffering. Everything that's going to hit me this next year, I have the ability to overcome those things, whether it's business or personal or whatever. It just teaches us that we can do hard things.
I agree. I love it. And Heather, you guys all did some hard things, but Heather, you freaking rocked it out. It would have been, it would have been easy for you to just quit on that last lap, but you did it. You did it with 15 minutes of sleep.
Like, I got the red bib. Is the red bib good enough? But then they were all finishing and I was like, And there were some doubters. There were some people there. What if you and Emily can't finish? Like what? Well, you just said I've got to finish now.
Right.
That's what's so crazy. We spend all this. I mean, goodness gracious, you spend a year training, and it costs a lot too, all to get this red hat.
Maybe I'll surprise you guys, and I won't say a word, and I'll just show up and be a volunteer on the mountainside.
That would be amazing.
Okay, so on every podcast, we allow our guests to ask a question to our listeners. So Heather or Emily, do either of you have a question that you would like to ask?
Sure. I have a question. When do you decorate for Christmas? Are you a November 1st kind of gal? Are you a December 1st kind of gal?
Or guy.
I love that. So I used to always decorate after Thanksgiving. That used to be I would like, the weekend after Thanksgiving, Black Friday shopping on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, we're decorating for Christmas. But now, because we're in Knoxville, we travel a lot for Christmas or for Thanksgiving often. So we end up doing it, and we end up doing it before Thanksgiving. So I'm actually decorated a couple weeks ago already. So after Halloween, of course, but usually before Thanksgiving. So that's my answer on that. I love that question because some people are very adamant, like not till after Thanksgiving.
It's a big debate.
Yeah. My sister's one of those. She does not like to decorate till after Thanksgiving.
Well,
for
Heather
sure.
has found a loophole, and she does some Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween decorations. So she'll decorate for Christmas, but it's Halloween.
I love
Christmas.
I love it.
And then flip the switch right after Halloween. So
I love it. Well, all right, out there, our listeners, you heard the question. Do you decorate? What time of year do you decorate? Are you one of those people before or after Thanksgiving? Go to our social media at Join MotUS and find today's podcast post and comment the answer to this question. While you're there, be sure to hit that follow button. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment the answer to the question below. Thank you guys so much for being on. I really enjoyed hearing your story. I was so much looking forward to this podcast today. It's been wonderful. I'm so proud of all of you guys. I'm in awe that you could do this. Truly, I think it's incredible.
Well, thanks for having us, but we look forward to seeing you on the mountain, even if it's as a volunteer.
Yes. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the MotUS Edge. Check out our shorts, like, and comment. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Join MotUS. Follow our show wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, leave us a comment and tell all of your friends. And hey, if you're a gym owner, join the movement and sign up for MotUS today. Thank you all for listening. And we're excited for you to have the MotUS Edge.
Have a great day,
Bye,
everyone.
y'all.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.